So, Vaughn, take us inside what's going on. A.B. Stoddard mentioned Kari Lake. Take us through the Arizona races.
Yeah, I think A.B. hit it on the nose there. If we get to election night, and you and I are talking, Nicole, or the day after, and Republicans, these key election deniers, have won these key races, whether it be here in Arizona or the governor's race up in Wisconsin, we will have to hit the fact that Democrats did not go toe-to-toe on this democracy issue with these Republicans running for office here. Just take this Katie Hobbs-Kari Lake race here. The advertisements that you see are on abortion and on the inflation, the economy, essentially playing defense for the Democrat here. But what you don't see are campaign advertisements tying Kari Lake to conspiracy theories, to her calls to decertify the 2020 election, her links to Donald Trump. You do not see that. Kari Lake is a candidate we're talking about who has literally called for her opponent, Katie Hobbs, to be arrested. That is the type of candidate we're talking about. Yesterday, last night at the campaign rally we were at in Arizona, Abe Hamadeh, the man running for attorney general, said he wants to see people in handcuffs. During the rally yesterday, Mark Finchem was sitting off to the sidelines. He's the man running for Secretary of State. He tweeted his Christmas wish is for there to be arrests related to voter fraud. That is what we're talking about here. And yet the Democrats have not gone toe-to-toe. You can look across the board here because they're trying to focus on issues outside of Donald Trump in the democracy issue here at play. And the issue here is that I'm not confident that folks understand the direness of what we're talking about. Yesterday, this is just an anecdote at the Trump rally. You know, a man came up to me and he saw me with the camera crew and he said, "Sir," he goes, "you seem like a nice enough fella, but you need to leave the media." He goes, "If there is a civil war," these are his words, "if there is a civil war, the corporate media are going to be some of the first to go." And I said, "What does that mean?" And he said, "To die." This is the stakes that we're talking about here. And when you're looking at those moderating voices within the Republican Party, just take Arizona as an example. I've been covering these rallies for years now. They're gone. There is no Jeff Flake. There's no John McCain. There's no Martha McSally. Clint Hickman, a man, he is the chairman of the Maricopa County Board of Supervisors who oversaw the 2020 election here. A man was arrested in Iowa last week for threatening to hang him. He's not at these events anymore, despite him being there at the rally right before the 2020 election and voting for Donald Trump. Rusty Bowers is not there anymore. These events are now a mechanism to try to overturn the elections, and they have told us that specifically. I talked to Mark Finchem yesterday, and I asked him the question, is there any reason to believe that this election, these midterms, are going to be free and fair? And he said that he's not confident. I mean, they're laying it out there for all of us to hear.
Vaughn, I'm going to need you to say more. Let me just give you this. Do any of them think that if they win, the elections are rigged, or they rigged only if they lose?
Well, let's just use an example. Kari Lake was making claims in the days before her primary, her close primary, that there were irregularities and fraud. And yet, of course, up to that night before the election, we were still trying to ask her what examples of evidence does she actually have. And to this day here, October 10th, Kari Lake has still yet to provide any examples. And she was there standing on stage next to Donald Trump as Donald Trump openly flirted again, suggesting that these midterm elections may not be fair and accurate. They're already setting the stage to what could lead to chaos in this election. And there's the very real possibility that these folks could outright win, though, and those contested efforts on their behalfs may not even matter.
I have to ask you one more question, Vaughn. When they told you that you'd be the first to be killed, to the first to die, do you feel safe out there?
I think the hardest part, Nicole, is that at one point in covering Trump rallies and Republican voters, I think I'm able to usually open up my heart and allow people to hear who I am and hear them out. This point in time, folks don't want to get to know you. The time for, I think, war in the most literal of terms is right about now. And Donald Trump, you know, it used to be a laughing line about that the members of the media were the enemies of the state or that the Democratic Party was the opposition. But it's very real terms now. They take him very literally more than ever before. And trying to engage with so many of these folks, it's a non-starter. I mean, this goes beyond QAnon believers. This comes down to folks that are voters that truly believe there is an effort to undermine this democracy, not the democracy we're talking about, but the effort to undermine the democracy by putting Joe Biden and the likes of these Democrats into office. It's a completely warped reality, one that you can't even, if you tried to have a conversation with so many of these folks, you couldn't get to a place of reality because they're not living in it.